Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari 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 Yashodanandana Vraja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Vraja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Vraja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Vraja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Nisimhadev Jaya Nisimhadev Jaya Nisimhadev Jaya Nisimhadev Jaya Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada ki Thank you all for coming, first of all, thank you. Today we are reading from Bhagavad-gītā, first chapter, verse 30. Yes, and first of all also I want to thank you for coming in the very auspicious days of Ekadashi. I feel very honored, and yeah, thank you for all your mercy for being here. And yes, so the verse goes, Nacha shaknomi avastatum. Nacha shaknomi avastatum. Brahmativa cha me manaha. Brahmativa cha me manaha. Nimittani cha pashyami. Nimittani cha pashyami. Viparitani keshavam. Viparitani keshavam. Nacha shaknomi avastatum. Brahmativa cha me manaha. Nimittani cha pashyami. Viparitani keshavam. Prabhus? Nacha shaknomi avastatum. Brahmativa cha me manaha. Nimittani cha pashyami. Viparitani keshavaha. Nacha shaknomi avastatum. Nacha shaknomi avastatum. Brahmativa cha me manaha. Nimittani cha pashyami. Viparitani keshavam. Nacha shaknomi avastatum. Brahmativa cha me manaha. Nimittani cha pashyami. Viparitani keshava. Na, nor. Cha, also. Shaknomi, am I able? Evastatum, to stay. Brahmati, forgetting. Eva, as. Cha, and. Me, my. Manaha, mind. Nimittani, causes. Cha, also. Pashami, I see. Viparitani, just the opposite. Keshava, O killer of the demon Keshi, Krishna. Translation and purpose by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki. I'm now unable to stand here any longer. I'm forgetting myself and my mind is reeling. I see only causes of misfortune, O Krishna, killer of the Kashi demon. I will repeat the translation. I'm now unable to stand here any longer. I'm forgetting myself and my mind is reeling. I see only causes of misfortune, O Krishna, killer of the Kashi demon. Who knows the word reeling? So he's saying here, my mind is reeling. Does somebody have a German? Yeah. Do you? Can you take the German Bhagavad-gītā? So do we see the name in German? So reeling is very confusionary state in which is agitated. Mind is totally agitated and confused. But I'm very curious how it is translated then in German. Verwirrt. Yeah, confused. Verwirrt, yeah. Purport. Due to his impatience, Arjuna was unable to stay on the battlefield, and he was forgetting himself on account of this weakness of his mind. Excessive attachment for material things puts a man in such a bewildering condition of existence. Payam divitya bini veshataha syat. Srimad Bhagavatam, 11 Canto, 12th chapter, 37th verse. Such fearfulness and loss of mental equilibrium take place in persons who are too affected by material conditions. Arjuna envisioned only painful reverses in the battlefield. He would not be happy even by gaining victory over the foe. Foe are enemies, over the enemies. The words nimittani viparitani are significant. When a man sees only frustration in his expectations, he thinks, why am I here? Everyone is interested in himself and his own welfare. No one is interested in the Supreme Self. Arjuna is showing ignorance of his real self-interest by Krishna's will. One's real self-interest lies in Vishnu or Krishna. The conditioned soul forgets this and therefore suffers material pains. Arjuna thought that his victory in the battle would only be a cause of lamentation for him. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurum Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Svayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapada Kamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Ragunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sagana Lalita Shivishakam Vitamscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanut Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priyem Ancha Kalpatarubhischa Kripa Sindhu Bevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namah. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasati Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. This is an amazing verse and purport. I want to give an overview, a very short overview of which is the situation in which we are. So I would read the two verses before. So, number 28, Arjuna said, "My dear Krishna, seeing my friends and relatives present before me in such a fighting spirit, I feel the limbs of my body quivering and my mouth drying up. My whole body is trembling, my hair is standing on end, my bow Gandiva is slipping from my hand, and my skin is burning." And today's verse, "I'm now unable to stand here any longer. I'm forgetting myself and my mind is reeling. I see only causes of misfortune, O Krishna, killer of the Kashi demon." So it's we are in the battlefield, of course, and Arjuna is just about, as we see two verses before, is just started speaking to Krishna. Yeah, so he just asked Krishna, "Please, can you bring the chariot in the middle of the two armies? I would like to see who are my enemies. I would like to see who is there in the other army." And he's seeing all his friends and relatives and well-wishers, teachers, and he's just cannot make it anymore. He's there are so many symptoms of his total bewilderment and difficulty with keeping his own decision of fighting, and we can also imagine, like, actually it's very difficult to imagine, like, being having to go on a war with your relatives and having to slaughter them. Basically, it's a very it's very hard to imagine. And Arjuna which was really not a coward, really not a person who would easily get away from his own duty. He's totally bewildered by the situation. And my first question would be, like, so what is the reason for his inability of standing there? does somebody has a thought? He's not able. He clearly says, "I'm unable to stand here any longer." And what is the reason here? Yeah, yeah. So he's just saying here to Krishna, yeah. I'm not unable to stand here any longer. He's in the middle between the two armies, yeah. And he asks Krishna to bring the chariot there, and he's just looking at his own enemies, who has also his relatives, his friend, but he feels like, oh, I really cannot do it. How can I do it? Yeah, and right, right, yes, yeah. This is Krishna's one of the Krishna's motivations why he arranged the whole situations to be there. But now I'm asking more of what is the reason for Arjuna to not be able to stand there anymore. So why is it not able anymore to stand there? You had, yeah? Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. That's definitely. You have. Right. He doesn't want to kill his own relatives. Yes, certainly. Um, in fact, this is like quite clear, and also there are different thoughts. Like he also going to say the different reasons, which usually are cataloged in 5. But Srila Prabhupada gives such an amazing purport here, and he gives in the first sentence he gives the reason why. So I will repeat the first sentence of the purport. Due to his impatience, Arjuna was unable to stay on the battlefield, and he was forgetting himself on account of this weakness of his mind. So, did you hear now what Srila Prabhupada says? What is the reason that Srila Prabhupada gives for his inability to stand in there? Yeah. Impatience. Yeah, impatience. Isn't it curious? Like when I read it, I was like, I had to read it so many times, like impatience. And how is Arjuna impatient? What makes him? Why is he impatient? How is that the reason for not standing there? Yeah.
Because he's Kshatriya and his duty is to fight.
Yeah, but following this thought process, he would be impatient to fight instead of feeling like not fighting. So he's not able to stand there any longer. He feels like his body is getting weak only by the thought of having to fight against, and this is somehow almost feels like the opposite of what the Kshatriya nature would be, like of fighting instead. Yeah.
And you're asking how is that impatience?
Yeah, exactly. Like how is impatience the weakness that was diagnosed by Srila Prabhupada? So you see, like there are also these symptoms of Arjuna, he cannot really make up, like to really go and fight. And Srila Prabhupada says, yes, this is because of impatience.
I think there are different translations for the word impatience, because here is written in German Verstörtheit.
Verstörtheit.
Eigentlich heißt es Ungeduld.
Ungeduldsamkeit.
But I think there are many translations.
Ah, okay. Yeah, in English, I mean, Srila Prabhupada wrote impatience. Yeah. So is there somebody has a thought?
Impatience maybe with himself that he's not it is too overwhelming for him to stay there and
Mm-hmm.
maybe this.
Yes.
It's understandable. Big Schlacht.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. This is This is a good thought. Yeah. What I also thought after a little while, I was thinking, okay, when we have a problem, first of all, we have a problem. So the very fact that we have a problem, and of course here Arjuna has a problem, yeah, he's facing a problem, is that first of all, we consider it as a problem. So it's something that it doesn't really fit well with me. Something that I somehow don't like, it is unpleasant for me, yeah. So, and when we do not like a situation, very quickly what we want to do is try to avoid the situation or like get away from the situation. So as we say, and we can do it in many different ways. We can try different solutions, but it's that. So, for example, we can do it like Duryodhana. Duryodhana was feeling fear, like because of course, he didn't know about the results of the battle, and he started to try to manipulate and doing different calculation in order to find a way how to win anyway. And this is like a way of dealing with a problem. So Prabhupada says impatience was the main cause of that. And what was the root cause of this impatience? So this impatience is caused by what? Right. Yes. Yes. This was more related to he was forgetting himself on account of his weakness of his mind. But that's also weakness of mind. Yeah. Actually, the sentence directly after he explains what is the root cause of this impatience. He says, excessive attachment for material things puts a man in such a bewildering condition of existence. So yes, as also Madhuka Prabhu was mentioning. No, it was you. And attachment, this is attachment for material things. These are the things that makes us impatient, as Srila Prabhupada is saying. And of course, like when we have these attachments, when we attach to something, for example, let's say I want to do something I have a spouse, I'm married, I have a wife, and I would like to do something good for her, let's say, yeah? And I'm just walking around the street, and everything that I see different shops or everything, and everything I just notice is something that I can buy for her, for example. Like, I don't know, these nice curtains maybe will be fitting very nicely in the living room, and she would be very happy about it. Or maybe I see some beautiful flowers and that. So in this way, like I'm walking past the street and there will be so many different things that I may be noticing, but because I'm attached in this moment to give pleasure to my wife, for example, I would see only things that are related to it. So in this way, attachment distort the vision of reality. And in this way, also because the vision of reality is different, also Arjuna is feeling all these different emotions, and the discrimination, the power of his intelligence is also distorted. And then in the second chapter, it will also be explained how frustration and anger then lead to bewilderment and confusion of memory. And there is a whole chain of how the senses get in contact with the sense objects, and then attachment arises, desire, and then there are the two outcomes. Either we get greed, we get this tendency of wanting to do again something if we were successful, and if we instead are not so successful, then we develop frustration and anger. And frustration and anger then lead to bewilderment of memory. Then Srila Prabhupada goes on in the purport. I will just go on. Such fearfulness and loss of mental equilibrium take place in persons who are too affected by material conditions. Yes. Arjuna envisioned only painful reverses in the battlefield. He would not be happy even by gaining victory over the enemy. So we are saying here that he's attached to material things, and And when we are attached to material things, it's natural that we feel also fear. Yeah, and here Prabhupada, of course, points it out immediately that this fearfulness and not being so sharp mentally, it's when we are affected by this material condition. And why are we experiencing this fear? Of course, because this transitory nature of the material world makes it so that everything that we cling, that we want to cling on something material, but it has a transitory nature. So we would always have the fear that you cannot enjoy it anymore, or it would change, it will not be as we would like to be, because this is the nature of the material world. And because it changes, it's temporary, then fear arises. And then I also ask myself, like, why is Arjuna sees only painful reverses? So here Srila Prabhupada says, Arjuna envisioned only painful reverses in the battlefield. He would not be happy even by gaining victory over the enemy. Why do you think he's only seeing negative results, even if he would win the battle? Yes, right. Yeah. One big factor is because he cannot enjoy with his own relatives. Like, imagine if you achieve whatever goal in this life, like I want to win the Olympics, or I want to become, I don't know, like I finally graduate from university. But how is there any way of celebrating this achievement if you're doing it by yourself? It's just boring. You just cannot celebrate. You always want to be close to the loved ones, to the relatives, to somebody who helped you on the way, friends, well-wishers. And this is like how the celebration takes place. And we can see it in all kind of celebrations, yeah, for any kind of achievement. So for Arjun is also no different. Like, okay, I have all my relatives, all my teachers, well-wishers, and I'm about to kill these very same people who I would very naturally I would like to enjoy then the victory with. And even so, like, of course, he has many on his own army also. He has his own brothers and everything. But you can also imagine that even if they would survive, they would still feel sorrow. They would still be not so much in the mood of celebrating, because of course also their relatives was just murdered. Yeah. So this is why Arjuna sees only painful reverses. This is one of the reasons. And so Srila Prabhupada then continues in the purport. The words nimittani viparitani are significant. When a man sees only frustration in his expectations, he thinks, why am I here? Everyone is interested in himself and his own welfare. No one is interested in the Supreme Self. Very, very lovely points from Srila Prabhupada. He is really stressing on the point of self-centeredness, yeah. And he also say, okay, one person may think, okay, why am I here? And this is also something that we really see it when we make some decision, which is naturally what we do when we are self-centered. We make a decision for ourselves. And so now this decision for ourselves is always based on, do I like this thing or do I not like it? Does it attract me or does it repulse me? So this is like the meter, the judgment that I do. And when I do such a thing, then I'm forced to get into some situation in which, like Arjuna has in the situation, I may see only negative outcomes. So I see, okay, then what's the point of myself being here? There's no point. So why am I in this situation? Like, how did I come up and be here? And so also Arjuna is of course is a kshatriya. So he knows, okay, I have to fight, and I fight for a righteous cause, and which it was. But then at the same time, I'm a member of the Kuru dynasty, and I should avoid by any means like to shedding blood in my own family. So of course he's bewildered. He cannot take any decision because there are these two contradicting things. with this kind of like self-centered kind of thinking, yeah, because he's thinking on this way of how he is going to enjoy later. Well, also there are other reasons, but he's thinking more on the bodily platform, and of course it's very difficult to find decisive outcomes. I was also thinking. Found myself so many times in such frustrative situations. I was, for example, I was working after university as data scientist. I tried, and just by being in this office with these two colleagues who were just, whenever they were with each other, they were just trying to get along with each other, having fake laughs, very like having a lot of masks with each other. And I was just watching, and I was like, what am I doing here with these people who don't really like each other? They have to stay 8 hours in a day next to each other, just in front of the computer, and they only speak about motorbikes, soccer, and that, and you could definitely see that they were unhappy. They were unhappy with their life and bored by their life, and this prompted me then to start traveling, and then I got the very great fortune then to meet with some higher meaning of life. So we understood that self-centeredness leads to suffering, either sooner or later, yeah? So another question is like, if we try to not be self-centered, yeah? We try not to have ourselves in the center. Does it mean that we have to sacrifice our own good? So I repeat again. So if, yeah? No. No. Why? Yeah. That's a good answer. Yeah. Okay.
Because it is not, it could be included in the...
Mm. Yeah, it could be included. Well, great. Yes, that's very true. Yeah.
Must not be. I mean, sometimes one might need to sacrifice time, sleep, or whatever to help others.
Yeah.
The good thing is also if you try to solve problems of others, your own problems seem to disappear more and more.
Yes. Yes. Very much. Yeah. And this happens because actually when we stop putting ourselves in the center, and instead of putting ourselves in the center, we put God in the center. This is a very big change, because God is the well-wisher of all living entities, and He has on the heart the very well-being, the very ultimate benefit for all living entities. So He's taking care for all of them. So when one stops to try to be satisfying himself, and instead of thinking, okay, how can I satisfy myself? How can I satisfy God? Naturally, it will be taken care of as he said, as Hendrik said, and also as Subhagopal said, if we try to help the others, Krishna is helping. Krishna is then providing, because he sees that you're trying to get out of your own self-centeredness, and then he appreciates, and then he provides. And sometimes I also see it in myself that I may have some subconscious fear that okay, how will I get satisfied if I don't actively look for satisfaction? Yeah, if I don't look actively for getting myself in a comfortable position. But we could see it if we just stop to cling for it. Most of the times, then the situations would just arrange so that anyway you be satisfied, or a lot of times others would just jump in and help you out of causeless or seemingly causeless reasons. Yeah. Prabhupada here also assures us no one is interested in the Supreme Self. Yeah. So he is immediately also suggesting, okay, like if you don't place yourself in the center, here is the right place where to place, which is the Supreme Self. Yeah. Um, yes, so Shishi Pralakshmi Singade Bhagavan Ki. Srila Prabhupada ends this very beautiful purport by saying Arjuna is showing ignorance of his real self-interest by Krishna's will. One's real self-interest lies in Vishnu or Krishna. The conditioned soul forgets this and therefore suffers material pains, and Arjuna thought that his victory in the battle would only be a cause of lamentation for him. Yes, so another very important point is that, of course, Arjuna is showing ignorance of his real self-interest by Krishna's will. So, yes, this is Arjuna. Arjuna is an amazing personality, and then it's also very important to remember that he's bewildered by Krishna's Yogamaya potency, and it's, he surely will know what is self-interest, but Krishna is arranging just for us, as I think Manuel, you were saying, or Namatsuka Prabhu, for the benefit of all of us. Then he's creating this whole situation for us. It's not because Arjuna was in ignorance by himself. Yeah. So I have two main considerations that I have on this verse. So one of the consideration that I think that Arjuna is showing an amazing example of how to tackle a problem, even though he seems to be quite, as Prabhupada says here, to show ignorance of his real self-interest. He anyway is showing amazing qualities, even though and on a way of how to solve a problem or how to deal with a problem. Yeah. So he's not trying to do different things, like we said. Duryodhana is trying to engage others, to cheat, or is not also trying to avoid the problem, but in a way he's somehow think, maybe if I go into the forest and then renounce, then am I because there's nothing here to really enjoy for me, then maybe it could be an option. But anyway, he's speaking very openly about it. And this is an important way how to deal with a problem. First of all, like we have recognized that we have a problem, and speaking out about our weaknesses with somebody who we trust. This is a way of dealing with a problem in the mode of goodness. And this is shown here by the example of Arjuna. He's speaking very openly to Krishna. And of course, he chose a very trustworthy person to also reveal his own problem. Of course, one has to see also who to reveal his own problem. And Arjuna, of course, chose the best. And so, yes, what are ways? What would be a way of tackling a problem in a mode of ignorance? To what? Tackle it. Tackle it, like to grab it like that. With force. What would be a way to what are how would you deal with a problem in a mode of ignorance? Yeah.
Trying to surrender to advanced devotee.
In a mode of ignorance? No, so yeah, so what I mean more is like there are different ways how you can approach a problem. Yeah. For example, here we see the example of Arjuna, who is seeking the help of Krishna, is revealing his mind to Krishna, and we could say this is the mode of goodness. Yeah, to look for such a intelligent way of how dealing with the problem. So my question was more, when we are in the mode of ignorance and in tamagun, how do we deal with problems? Yes. With sleep? Yes. Yeah. This is a way. Yes. Yeah.
Maybe also complaining or
yeah.
some YouTube video.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
Some negative emotions like frustration.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Depressive. All of them. Yes. Also with not doing anything. as you said, like lamenting without acting, being paralyzed. Yes, this is all ways of dealing with problems. And what are ways instead in the mode of passion to deal with problem? Argue? Yeah. Do something else.
Not addressing the problem, but doing something which would be otherwise useful, but not in the situation.
Yeah. Yeah, this is mixed also with ignorance, but there's surely lots of passion. Yes. Getting angry. Yes, there's also, yeah. Hmm. Right. So with impatience. Yeah. Mhm.
try to find a solution, like very, very much like what can I do to solve this problem?
Yeah, exactly. Like one would discriminate with, okay, like I just try to find a solution quite quickly also, and I just try to go for it. And in general also we look for a solution which would give us some benefit. This is also like in the mode of passion, because we want to cling to the result also of the action. Or also at least we want the least suffering. We don't want suffering. So that's also a good reason why to go for the problem, and we look for these kinds of solutions. While in the mode of goodness, for example, we have the example of Arjuna, which he was, for example, speaking to others who may have more experience or may have like higher kind of thinking. What are some other ways in the mode of goodness of dealing with problem? Yes. Yeah, exactly. This also as the example of Arjuna, try to communicate, at least be open about it. Yeah, that's very important. Not repressing it, not repress the problem or like pretend that it doesn't exist, but to do something about it. Yeah. Yes, surely. Like taking into consideration Shastra, higher authorities, this would definitely in the mode of goodness, even pure goodness. No, goodness. Yeah.
Maybe also try to pray to Krishna and
Mhm.
also try to see Krishna's hand behind the problems.
Yes, that's very good. Like shifting like our vision to some higher meaning, and like seeing what may be behind the problem, and like what is Krishna is, how he's trying to help us through giving us this problem. Yes, this is great. Another things that I was thinking is like to take into consideration also the other's welfare, like to also take into, okay, I have a problem, but how this is also affecting the others. So this is already, there's some goodness into it, and it's not at least self-centered, and also act out of higher principle. Yes, this is. So we take Arjuna's action. Yes, he's refusing to fight. At least he's thinking of, and not because he's afraid of maybe the reaction they would get to him. He never said in any of his reasons that he's fearful of death, because he's an amazing Kshatriya, and he would do it. They don't go to battle with that fears, but they always are about the right things to do, and this is the Kshatriya mood. So he's on a dutiful kind of fighting, and this is already in the mode of goodness. So this was the first point, first consideration that I was thinking. And the second one is that, as we said, we may get caught in the immediate way of dealing with the problem, without spending enough time to consider what could be the ultimate benefit, So material things are usually very accessible, like enjoyable, very easy to get hold of, while spiritual kind of things, of solution, may be a bit remote, not so easily to get in touch with, like to easily perceived, and also they require sacrifice, So they are not if one who is driven by passion or by lower modes is not so, or has at least still some contamination, let's say, it's not so, it requires some effort to go for spiritual kind of solution. So so this, yes, as we said, this is impatience. This is also leads to impatience. And when, for example, when we nourish, we don't nourish our body like with food. We also sometimes we start to lacking some energy, yeah. And we as souls, when we don't, we as souls, we need orientation. We need some place. We need some purpose to also find this determination, this energy to act, yeah. And I make an example, like when let's say somebody is going to war and he wants to fight for his own country, yeah, and he has a very determined kind of mindset. He finds a lot of energy. He becomes very sharp how he wants to do it and in which way, and this is like how a robust when we function within a framework, when we are having an occupation which is settled, then our mind, our psyche is also more robust, is more strengthened. Yeah, that's why there is the stress of dharma, like having also materially been well situated or being in the proper ashram. Yeah, because we are well situated, and then we have a proper place. We have some purpose within it, so we're able to function. We have this energy that comes up. We are determined. We see the purpose. Yeah. So also like if we identify as being a doctor or a father, a caretaker, marketing executive, German citizen, or so, then this gives us a purpose and place in the society, and that's why people are able to work and they find the reason to wake up in the morning. Yeah. So, but most of the time, we don't recognize the need of a higher orientation, of a higher place and purpose in life until we lose the purpose that we have in the moment. So, or either we lose or we almost lose. For example, make an example, like when we have a big loss in the family, yeah, of course we may be very attached to a person in a family, and a lot of our life maybe was dealing also with this person, and suddenly like there's this very big loss and we don't know what to do, like we're lost, and we're like, okay, now how am I going to go on without this person that was so central to my life, and one may feel totally bewildered and not really not know where to go in next direction, and also feel like, okay, like now who am I now? What is the higher meaning then of life? Yeah, one would start maybe of thinking of more higher kind of existential kind of questions, or also when we have near-death experience. Also, this is very common that some people then ask. They're more inclined to ask for higher meaning. Yeah, or even I noticed that a close relative of mine, actually my whole family noticed it. When he retired from his job, he did his job for more than 40 years. He was also managing a company, or like in the management. And basically, like in the month after he stopped, you imagine like every year for 40 years, you're just doing 8 hours, 5 days, and you do the same job, and you are fixed into that, yeah? And then suddenly you don't have it anymore. This is how society works. Okay, you retired and that's it. And he started to like being spaced out and a little bit like slower, in not so sharp mentally. And before he was very bright, and we all got very worried at the beginning, and we had to find some other kind of engagement in the society, like taking care of people with elderly people. Or these kind of things, and more in a managerial kind of, in this kind of company, social company, and in this way, like he got a little bit back, but not as before. So he really needed that engagement, and this kind of purpose and place was really giving him life. So This to say that when we have material breakdown, or like we have a very big happening in our life, then lots of time it may be the price that Krishna is asking for spiritual breakthrough. Yeah. So one thing that I wanted to take into consideration is to how welcoming different challenges as opportunities. This is a right way how to see it, to envision it, because they may need to spiritual lessons behind. Yeah, and so we can use the challenges as to raise our consciousness, as to find a place and purpose that is higher, and to go more into spiritual kind of understanding of reality. And of course the ultimate place, we may have so many different place and purpose, like in the society. We may be, as I said, doctor, president of this company, or nurse, or anything. But the higher way of considering ourselves is the closest that is to our own true identity, and is the one that we cannot ever lose, which is being the servant of Krishna. So when we are closer, when we identify ourselves rightly as souls, and then we see that our purpose is to re-establish again, rediscover, and really realize this eternal connection that we have with Krishna, then this is the proper way how to see all the challenges that comes through us. As Srila Prabhupada in many purposes says, it's very important through spirituality we can deal with all kind of material problems. It's just that the more one has strength in his own sadhana, the more is strength in his own spiritual realization, the more is able also how to deal with the material problems and how to face different challenges. And this is because we are well situated, and the more we are able to connect to our true self, and this allows us also to never have these bewildered stages, because we don't lose any part of our identity, because when we are attached to something and we lose it, then it's almost like losing a part of our identity. But how can we lose? We cannot lose our true self, our spirituality, because we are a soul. This is something that you can never be losing. While all these other different designations, we are bound to lose them. Either it could be in the next 5 minutes, or it could be at the end of the life when we would have to leave this body. And so these were the two considerations. So just to sum up, the two takeaways. So one is, as we said, challenges, to see them more as opportunities for broadening our vision, and to have higher consciousness and for spiritual realization. And the other one, which we mentioned before, try to get gradually away from our self-centeredness, which we see how it sooner or later it gets to frustration, to suffering, and try to go more to God-centeredness. And this means, like, instead of judging, instead of perceiving things as, okay, do I like it or do I not like it, more of like, does Krishna likes it, or does he wouldn't be pleased about it, or does Guru like it or not? Is it in accordance with Shastra, with the conclusion of the Shastra of Krishna consciousness? Yes, so this was more or less what I wanted to say. Are there some questions or doubts, correction, comments? Yeah.
Thank you for your amazing lecture.
No. Thank you.
There was a question, I guess.
In 2 minutes, if possible.
So, your
Hare Krishna. So your conclusion is that the what thought is going through my mind now is that the problem I have roots in my identification with something else than the higher self.
Yeah.
And when I'm a householder and things there, I have certain things which I would like to happen, like getting a higher wage or the fuel price is going down. And when this, I don't want this. Yeah, and when the fuel price going up, I'm like agitated because I need to sustain my family. To drive with a car to the to work. But wouldn't it also agitate me when I'm not householder and just fuel prices going up is not good for anyone I know?
Sure. Yeah. Thank you for the question. It's a very important one. Surely it depends, of course, on the consciousness that we have. In the sense that, imagine like there's the fuel, the price is going up for the fuel, yeah? On the way, I can think, okay, surely this is, anyway, parts of God's plan, so I can be accepting of that. I can be surrendering and be like, okay, there's, it's part of Krishna, how he would like this situation to be. And more being a householder or less, it's... for me, is because you can be a householder and see all your relatives as Vaishnavas and having spiritual relationship with them and consider them as part and parcel of God. And so having also the proper way of dealing with them without being attached to them. There are these beautiful prayers from Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur in his book Sharanagati. And he really nicely expressed this, how he perceives. He used to perceive with some attachments, also his family members, but now he really wants to develop this mood of totally surrendering to Krishna, and then how he switches to then see them as a part and parcel of God, like they are your property. I'm just here to serve your own property, and in this way the consciousness is always on Krishna in the center, even though I'm serving the other family members. I don't know if did it answer the question, or did I?
There is something still open. Thanks for this answer.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, maybe we can speak in case later. Yeah. Thank you all for coming. Thank you all for listening. Srila Prabhupada ki. Shri Shri Pralakshmi Singhadev Bhagavan ki.